Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel where I'm going to create a resin bloom tutorial for you. This is my newest one, so let's get started. So first off, I mixed up my Tea Expert resin 1:1. I let this sit quite a while to get the temperature up to about 90 degrees. I poured it in my mold and let it sit. I then mixed up my Tea Expert pigment paste with a little bit of the clear resin. As you can see here, I mixed it up in the baggie. And then what we did is I added some of these crystal stones to the center of my mold. So again, this resin was sitting for about 15 minutes before I added it to my silicone mold. Then I added the sparkly little pieces into the center of the mold, and this is going to be the center of the bloom. And then we waited for a little bit longer. And here are the inks that I used. And what we did next was we dropped the inks nice and slowly into the mold, and you can see it spreading out already. So the resin does have to be a certain temperature before you add your inks and your paste, or else there'll be no movement, there'll be no bloom, so to say. So I decided to go with a blue and green color flower, and then we added the white pigment paste to it. So as you can see, the inks are starting to spread out. And as we move on to the next one, I did add a little bit more of the blue around the edge, and I added a second drop of the green ink. I think this was the ocean green, but I added the green ink on top of the original dots that I had placed. Okay, and then we waited for a little bit longer for everything to spread out. And this is the trick, everybody. I did measure my temperature with my infrared thermometer, and it measures 91 degrees. So this was the indicator that it was time for me to add my white paste. Again, this is 1 drop of paste, with the rest of it was just the clear resin. Okay, so now what we're going to do is a swirly shape going around and around and around. And again, you can decide what kind of design or what kind of flower shape or design that you want based on how you put this white paste down. So I decided to do the traditional flower look, and you're able to do that by adding these spinny little circles. Okay, next up, right after this, I took a tool and I dragged that tool through my resin, ink, and paste. As you can see, I just went through the center of the green, and then as I was dragging it through, I did notice it was quite sticky. So it was almost probably too warm, the resin. It was like the ink had already started a chemical reaction due to the heat. Okay, I then dragged the ink and paste in through the other direction, and this just gave the petals a different look. So as you can see, next up, I just continued to drag, and then in the center, I did do that little swirly thing. I don't know why I did that. I don't know what effect it really does. Gives it a little swirly thing at the end. All right, here's that swirly thing that I was talking about. Okay, now we've let the resin sit for 24 hours. I've now come back the next day, and I have mixed up clear resin 1:1 again, and I have added the black pigment paste, just 1 drop, and then it's like a chameleon mica powder from Let's Resin. And we are slowly adding it to the mold, and obviously the base of this piece has already cured. Like I said, it was sitting for about 24 hours, and now we're adding this shimmer blue, peacock blue, green base. And let's hope it turns out exactly how we want it to turn out without any bubbles or any flaws. Okay, here we are after 24 hours. We are going to do the final reveal. I like to peel away the silicone mold before pulling out the piece, just so nothing gets caught on the silicone mold. But let's take a look. I love the edge of these molds. All right, here is the reveal. I love how it turned out. Thank you so much. Subscribe if you want to see